Mo, we love you. Thank you for being here with us tonight. I'm tossing it to you.
Love you too. Love you too, Ash. And I want to thank all of the speakers that have spoke previously and everybody who's teeing up to speak. And I know this is a really hard time for so many of us. I've spent weeks and months traveling all over this country, meeting many of you. I've seen firsthand the fighting spirit that we have and the determination that we could carry to make our country a better place. In all the places I went, I made sure to spend a lot of time on the doors. I've been talking to people in Ubers, at restaurants, airports, barbershops, on their doors. I know it is cold comfort to us all, but out of those conversations, I draw hope for what lies ahead. In the political education session a little while ago that some of you may have seen, Ashley talked about the political crisis facing our country right now. And she talked about the need to build a mass movement to take on the rise of MAGA. To do that, we have to be honest with ourselves. Donald Trump has won the election, and it appears he has also won the popular vote. We are entering into a period in which billionaires like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos control the levers of power along with Donald Trump. They're attempting to claim the mantle of the little guy while cutting taxes for themselves and corporations. What they actually want is to divide working class people and build their own pathways to power. And this year, it worked. Trump grew his base of support among working people. We have a lot of work to do to figure out how to rebuild our majority. So I want to lay out a roadmap for everyone to consider about where we go from here. Now, I offer this with humility. I won't claim to have all the answers. We just went all in on an election and faced many defeats. But while this was a tremendous gut-punching setback, it's also a wake-up call and an opportunity. When I talked to working-class people at their doors, I heard a lot of people of all races who didn't really think either party had a plan for them. I was able to make the case to many of them about why they needed to vote for Harris. Some I couldn't. This is exactly why the Working Families Party was founded 26 years ago, with the goal to build a third force in American politics, a political party for, by, and of the working class. This is what we work towards every day. And I have never felt like our role was more important than when watching this year's election results come in. It's sorely needed if we're going to build a big enough majority to beat MAGA for good. After a hard defeat, it's easy to retreat and shut down. But let me tell you this. What Trump and the whole billionaire class wants most of all is for us to give up our power and to surrender to their attacks before they come to our doors. Their strongest weapon is your cynicism. If you think that you can't do anything that matters, you won't do anything that matters. Here's what we can expect. They will set fires to one part of our coalition or another to keep us running ragged and also keep us on the defensive instead of bringing the fight directly to them. We will not be big characters in a story written by Donald Trump or Elon Musk or Stephen Miller or any of those ghouls. We will expose what they really stand for. And each step will build momentum and recruit new people to our side until we've got the biggest and most disciplined people-powered movement by and of the working class. We are going to need everyone on this call to be ready to operate outside your comfort zone and build connections with people who didn't vote the same way we did. This is the only way we build a bigger we, a we that is big enough to win. If you're in a room and you know and agree with everyone, you're not in a big enough room. If you can only organize with people who agree with you and align with all your ideas, then you don't have the stomach for the fight ahead. So how are we going to focus on our work for the next 4 years? running the same exact playbook for 2016 isn't going to cut it this time. Instead, at every moment, we need to ask ourselves, where is the working class? Where are people like my aunties and my cousins and my mom, a retired union nurse? Where are the people that we met on the doors, like the young black woman from North Philly that's numb from mourning gun violence? How can we pull some people who didn't like either candidate, but might have voted for Trump, maybe as a rebuke of the status quo, into this coalition and away from his? There's a reason why this happened, and we need to be humble and curious as to why we got here in order to figure out where we're going. We are building the Working Families Party as a political force that is for, by, and of working class people of all races. First, we have to build a movement that is for working class people. Our friends, our aunties, our family members need to see what we are fighting for and with them. They need to see that we are going to listen to them and hear what's important, that we're coming with real ideas and real solutions and real plans, and that we are willing to go to the mat for them. This may be hard to imagine today, but I believe we are at the beginning of the end of Donald Trump and the MAGA movement, because they don't actually have ideas that will help people, and it won't take long to see that the emperor has no clothes. But it'll only work if we're clear in our vision of what exactly we're building and who we're building it for. Ashley talked about our need to build and rebuild our power. So I want to spend a few minutes getting more specific about what I think we need to be building. Not in just a couple of weeks or months, but as part of a generational project. That starts tonight with all of us here. It will start with the plans we make to fight back during Trump's first 100 days. It continues with our plans to block MAGA and win elections in 2026. And it is a long-term project as well, which I will get to in a second. To start us off, I want to offer a challenge to everyone listening in on this call. I think after this week, it's appropriate to ask some questions about how things are going and be ready to make some changes. I want you to imagine what becomes possible if the combined forces on this call, the 200 plus organizations that have co-sponsored this event, plus the tens and tens of thousands of you on this call, imagine what becomes possible if we collectively take charge. What if we are not just the door knockers or protesters? We're the ones running for office and designing the agenda and the campaign plans. What if we, everyone on this call, and our organizations and our movements are the ones governing? Imagine us building a multiracial, multi-party democracy where every loss for a Democrat doesn't automatically mean a gain for a Republican, and where the Working Families Party, for example, exists as a viable option for voters who aren't happy with either party in a way that adds, doesn't take away votes from an anti-MAGA majority. So what we all need to do is to be serious about power, hungry for power, because if we have power, then we could pass the laws that repair communities and fix people's lives. We can't do it without power. We can't do it without being serious about assembling electoral majorities. It is important to hold a vision of this in our minds as we talk about how to get there. But like Ash said, it is not just about having good ideas or even passing some of these good ideas into law. It is about how the things we do are perceived. So we need to pick smart fights. We need to divide the MAGA movement. Where we have power, we have to use it ruthlessly. We need to expose the con job that has many people signing up for a political movement that really only cares about one thing: tax cuts for the rich. We'll be leading the charge on things like affordable housing, higher wages, stable prices, climate action, investing in schools here, not expanding wars abroad like the ongoing wars in Lebanon and Gaza, and so much more. Next, we need to build a movement that is by working class people. This means developing working class leaders and candidates. It means working with our friends in the labor movement, and it means reaching people where they live and work, and where they pray, and where they dance. I am unsatisfied living in a country where the right wing is better at organizing people and communicating their shitty policy ideas than we are. If our idea of good work is to be content with getting our dozen best leaders and volunteers in a room over and over and calling it organizing, then I would challenge us that we need to do more. We need a political movement with many leaders who are capable of recruiting new leaders. We need leaders who act with the strategic mind and emotional intelligence to grow our movement at an exponential rate. So we're not just measuring our power in the dozens, but in the thousands, in the tens of thousands, in the hundreds of thousands, and in the millions. Which brings me to my last point. We need to build a movement that is made up of working class people. I have a vision of building a movement that is day in and day out winning the hearts and minds of working class people. These may not be people we have ever met. If we are doing our work, there will be way more people who are in motion with us than have ever come to one of our meetings. The MAGA movement and their wealthy handlers and hangers-on is doing everything in their power to dilute the real power of the working class. Building a movement that is for, by, and of working class people is a generational project, but it's also a project that I truly believe within a few years or two can reshape and grow our coalition enough to beat MAGA for good. And we need everyone to play their highest purpose in it. If you have ever thought about running for office yourself, or if you know someone who should, or if you want to help elect the next generation of working class leaders up and down the ballot who are going to build that movement, please join us by texting JOIN to 30403. Text JOIN to 30403 if you want to be counted in that many. What we owe each other most of all is the truth. This will not be easy and it won't happen overnight, but I am hopeful for what we can accomplish together if we tell ourselves no lies and we claim no easy victories, and if we move with clarity and determination and always compassion and heart for one another. Thank you.